If you feel you've experienced discrimination, please call the Commission on Human Rights at 718-722-3131.
This is New York City Cultural Affairs Commissioner Tom Finkelpearl. We're in the process of developing the city's first ever comprehensive cultural plan called Create NYC. This plan has the potential to increase access to arts and culture for all New Yorkers. But we need to hear from you. We believe that performers, students, painters, gardeners, writers, cooks, and so many more together create the soul of our city. How does your community create NYC? Visit createnyc.org to learn more and participate in the process.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311.
This is New York City Public Advocate Letitia James. There are over 1 million New York City public school students, and many of these children face a wide range of occupational, speech, developmental, and physical disabilities. Every child deserves an equal and fair education. And if you think your child needs a specialized learning plan or isn't getting the resources he or she needs, please contact your local school, the Department of Education Special Education Hotline at 718-935-2007, or please call 311.
This is New York City Controller Scott Stringer. Bank accounts are critical to help you save and grow your hard-earned money. But hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers don't have a basic checking account. That's why my office created Take It to the Bank, an online tool to compare low-cost accounts and find the one that best meets your needs. Our website is available in English, Spanish, and Chinese. Check it out at takeittothebank.nyc.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311.
Hi, I'm Greg Bishop, Commissioner of the New York City Department of Small Business Services. Here at SBS, we open doors to opportunity for all New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs. Our department is focused on creating stronger businesses, connecting New Yorkers with good jobs, and fostering thriving neighborhoods. So, if you are looking for a job, want to start or grow your business, or hope to strengthen a commercial corridor, please visit www.nyc.gov/SBS or call 311 for more information.
Hi, this is Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer. If you live or work in Manhattan, you can apply to join one of Manhattan's 12 local community boards. Community board members represent the needs of the people, businesses, and organizations in their neighborhoods. They're essential to shaping the character of Manhattan. If you'd like to apply or know someone who might, visit manhattanbp.nyc.gov/community boards. The deadline is February 3rd, 2017.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311 or visit nyc.gov.
This is Cecile Noel, Commissioner of the Mayor's Office to Combat Domestic Violence. If you're a survivor of domestic violence, sex trafficking, or elder abuse, the Mayor's Office is here to help. Walk into one of the city's family justice centers, located in every borough, to receive free and confidential help regardless of income, language, immigration status, gender identity, or sexual orientation. Call 311 and ask for the nearest Family Justice Center or visit nyc.gov/domestic violence.
Hello, this is New York City Public Advocate Letitia James. Every New Yorker deserves to live in a safe and decent home. But too often, residents are forced to live in dangerous conditions and face illegal harassment by their landlords. If you are having problems with your home or your landlord, please call my office at 212-669-7250 or email us at gethelp@pubadvocate.nyc.gov or call 311.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311 or visit nyc.gov.
This is Donna Corrado, Commissioner of the New York City Department for the Aging. In this city, we look out for each other. We're our sisters and brothers keepers. During these cold weather months, I ask that you reach out to your elderly neighbors and friends. Remaining active, engaged, and socially connected improves one's quality of life. It also reduces the risk of chronic disease, dementia, and premature death. If you're lonely, anxious, or depressed, and you want help, call 1-888-NYC-WELL or 911 in an emergency.
Hi, I'm New York City Controller Scott Stringer. An honest day's work deserves an honest day's pay. And if you work for a city construction or building services contractor, you should be getting paid a prevailing wage. If you think you've been underpaid, call my Bureau of Labor Law at 212-669-4443. All calls will be kept confidential, and we'll fight to get you the money you're owed, regardless of immigration status.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311.
Hello, this is Michael Carey, Executive Director of Citywide Event Coordination and Management. At CECM, we help oversee the permitting of events on your streets. To find out more about the process and deadline for street activities and pedestrian plazas, please visit nyc.gov/CECM. We look forward to making your event safe and enjoyable for the entire community.
Hi, I'm Roy Mogolansky, Executive Director for the City of New York Office of Payroll Administration. Did you know city employees can save money on commuting expenses to work? When you sign up for the city's WageWorks Commuter Benefits Program, the funds for your commuting costs are set aside from your paycheck before taxes are taken out, so you pay less in taxes, up to $1,200 a year if you take mass transit, and up to $2,400 a year if parking is part of your commute. Visit getwageworks.com/NYC.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311 or visit nyc.gov.
Hi, I'm Carmelyn P. Malalis, Commissioner and Chair of the New York City Commission on Human Rights. New York City's greatest strength is its diversity. The New York City Commission on Human Rights enforces one of the strongest human rights laws in the country and fights every day to protect all New Yorkers from discrimination and harassment. No one in New York City should feel unsafe or threatened because of their background, belief, or identity. If you feel you've experienced discrimination, please call the Commission on Human Rights at 718-722-3131.
This is New York City Cultural Affairs Commissioner Tom Finkelpearl. We're in the process of developing the city's first ever comprehensive cultural plan called Create NYC. This plan has the potential to increase access to arts and culture for all New Yorkers. But we need to hear from you. We believe that performers, students, painters, gardeners, writers, cooks, and so many more together create the soul of our city. How does your community create NYC? Visit createnyc.org to learn more and participate in the process.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311.
This is New York City Public Advocate Letitia James. There are over 1 million New York City public school students, and many of these children face a wide range of occupational, speech, developmental, and physical disabilities. Every child deserves an equal and fair education. And if you think your child needs a specialized learning plan or isn't getting the resources he or she needs, please contact your local school, the Department of Education Special Education Hotline at 718-935-2007, or please call 311.
This is New York City Controller Scott Stringer. Bank accounts are critical to help you save and grow your hard-earned money. But hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers don't have a basic checking account. That's why my office created Take It to the Bank, an online tool to compare low-cost accounts and find the one that best meets your needs. Our website is available in English, Spanish, and Chinese. Check it out at takeittothebank.nyc.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311.
Hi, I'm Greg Bishop, Commissioner of the New York City Department of Small Business Services. Here at SBS, we open doors to opportunity for all New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs. Our department is focused on creating stronger businesses, connecting New Yorkers with good jobs, and fostering thriving neighborhoods. So, if you are looking for a job, want to start or grow your business, or hope to strengthen a commercial corridor, please visit www.nyc.gov/SBS or call 311 for more information.
Hi, this is Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer. If you live or work in Manhattan, you can apply to join one of Manhattan's 12 local community boards. Community board members represent the needs of the people, businesses, and organizations in their neighborhoods. They're essential to shaping the character of Manhattan. If you'd like to apply or know someone who might, visit manhattanbp.nyc.gov/communityboards. The deadline is February 3rd, 2017.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311 or visit nyc.gov.
This is Cecile Noel, Commissioner of the Mayor's Office to Combat Domestic Violence. If you're a survivor of domestic violence, sex trafficking, or elder abuse, the Mayor's Office is here to help. Walk into one of the city's family justice centers, located in every borough, to receive free and confidential help regardless of income, language, immigration status, gender identity, or sexual orientation. Call 311 and ask for the nearest Family Justice Center or visit nyc.gov/domestic violence.
Hello, this is New York City Public Advocate Letitia James. Every New Yorker deserves to live in a safe and decent home. But too often, residents are forced to live in dangerous conditions and face illegal harassment by their landlords. If you are having problems with your home or your landlord, please call my office at 212-669-7250 or email us at gethelp@pubadvocate.nyc.gov or call 311.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311 or visit nyc.gov.
This is Donna Corrado, Commissioner of the New York City Department for the Aging. In this city, we look out for each other. We're our sisters and brothers keepers. During these cold weather months, I ask that you reach out to your elderly neighbors and friends. Remaining active, engaged, and socially connected improves one's quality of life. It also reduces the risk of chronic disease, dementia, and premature death. If you're lonely, anxious, or depressed, and you want help, call 1-888-NYC-WELL or 911 in an emergency.
Hi, I'm New York City Controller Scott Stringer. An honest day's work deserves an honest day's pay. And if you work for a city construction or building services contractor, you should be getting paid a prevailing wage. If you think you've been underpaid, call my Bureau of Labor Law at 212-669-4443. All calls will be kept confidential, and we'll fight to get you the money you're owed, regardless of immigration status.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311.
Hello, this is Michael Carey, Executive.
Once he's seated behind you and people are settled, then you can get started. Whenever you're comfortable. Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, go get him, Dorn.
Come nice and close to this microphone so don't notice the outside.
Hi, everybody. My name is Doran Johnson, and I'm currently a sophomore at LaGuardia High School. I play trumpet in the instrumental music studio. I live in Bed-Stuy, and I've been traveling to school in Park Slope by train and bus alone since I was in 6th grade. When I was in 8th grade, I attended MS-51 in Park Slope, which I know the mayor is familiar with because his kids attended the same school. On my regular commute, I would get off of the 25 bus traveling down Fulton Street and then walk across Atlantic and Flatbush Avenues to catch the 63 bus. One day I was hit by a car while crossing Flatbush Avenue. I was doing everything right. I waited for the light and I was in the crosswalk with the light, but a car still ran the light and hit me. I was bruised up and I went to the hospital. Even though I got hurt, I consider myself lucky because 2 kids from my school, MS-51, were hit by cars and killed the year before, including my friend Joey Sellers, who was struck on the sidewalk and died. Joey and I were supposed to go to Summer Arts Institute together, right after she died. She was a beautiful dancer, and I believe if she were still alive today, she would have been attending LaGuardia with me right now. In fact, in 13 short months, 3 students who went to MS-51 were killed and struck by cars. Young people are out traveling to and from school. We need extra protection. That's why I'm so happy to hear that Mayor de Blasio is announcing increased funding for Vision Zero efforts today. I know it will help keep kids like me safe and protected on these streets. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you very much. Good job. I really appreciate you handled it nicely.
Well, my friends, it's not easy for a young man to get up in front of all of you and tell his story. Let's give him a little more rousing round of applause for what he did. You know, Doran went through what can only be described as a terrifying close call. He was showing me right over there at the intersection behind us. He had the light in his favor. He stepped into the intersection like it's any other day, and a driver who was irresponsible and reckless blew through the light and almost took his life. You can imagine what that felt like for Doran, and you can imagine what that felt like for his parents. I want to thank his parents for being with us here today, because they know, and every parent knows, it's our worst nightmare to think we might lose our child. And think of a child going to school every day and knowing the dangers that are around. Parents worry, and I can say this as a parent myself, we worry from the first minute in the morning to the last minute at night. And for Doran's parents, that was a terrifying day. Thank God Doran's okay. And thank God he's here to tell us why it is so important to do more to protect our children, why we cannot spare any effort when it comes to protecting them. Now, when we set on the path of Vision Zero, it was with a fundamental notion that we could save so many more lives, and that it was the first responsibility of all of us in public service to protect life. It was not going to be easy. It was going to take aggressive action. It was going to take things that had never been done before. That's what Vision Zero is all about. It is about breaking with the pattern of the past, changing the rules of the game. We have proceeded to do that. And Vision Zero is yielding real change. The facts are clear. We're saving lives. 2016, the fewest fatalities ever in recorded history of this city, and 23% fewer fatalities than 3 years earlier in 2013. And we have only just begun. There's a lot more to do. But let me talk about our children, because here is some news for you that's extraordinary. And as a parent, I am particularly proud of this fact. Last year, 2016, the fewest children were killed in crashes in the recorded history of New York City. We had the fewest fatalities among our children under 17 that we've ever had. We lost 3 children in 2016, and losing any child is too many. But let me give you the comparison that makes this so stark. In the 5 years previous, the average was a loss of 8 children to traffic fatalities each year. As recently as 2004, we lost 17 children in this city to traffic fatalities. Again, a parent's worst nightmare. Last year, 3 children lost. Our goal is to save every child, to lose none of our children. And that's why the work of Vision Zero will now be intensified further. 400 million, almost 400 million more dollars will be spent on Vision Zero bringing it to a total of a $1.6 billion investment over the next 5 years. Now, I want to thank my colleagues who are here. They are all devoted to this work. And so much of what we do to make Vision Zero work is the combination of the physical changes needed in our city with the enforcement we need to make people follow the laws. Our Commissioner of Transportation, Polly Trottenberg, and her team have done an exemplary job of changing the physical reality of our streets to make them safer. We have tasked Polly with a very difficult mission of constantly changing intersections and streets that for decades were designed the wrong way and were dangerous. And she has taken on this mission with tremendous energy and is setting records for changing our streets in record time. And then I want to thank Chief Tom Chan, Chief of Transportation for the NYPD. He has led the charge in the NYPD, and the NYPD has been a full partner in Vision Zero. The enforcement efforts of the NYPD have been unprecedented to begin with, and they will grow. And I keep saying this every time we discuss this issue. Best form of public education for someone who's a reckless driver is when an NYPD officer pulls them over. That will be happening more. There will be more tickets for speeding, more tickets for failure to yield to pedestrians, more checkpoints, because it will save lives and it will change behavior. So I want to thank Commissioner Trottenberg and Chief Chan for leading the charge, and Vision Zero is so much because of their great efforts. Let's give them a round of applause. And then our elected officials have been extraordinarily supportive, and they understand what this means in every block of their neighborhoods. I want to thank Assemblymember Joanne Simon, Councilmember Brad Lander, and Councilmember Vinnie Gentili for their support, and particularly in the case of Councilmember Gentili for his great help in guiding us on the work we had to do to make sure there's a school crossing guard at every intersection of the city where we need to protect our children. Thank you very much to all of you. And while I'm mentioning our crossing guards, I have such tremendous appreciation for the work they do as a parent. Many times I saw them protect Kiara and Dante and all their friends. Thank you for all you do for the city. I want to particularly thank the president of Local 372 that represents the crossing guards, Sean Francois. Thank you. Almost $400 million that will be spent this coming year means that intersections like this will get safer. Now, as a Brooklynite, I can say where Flatbush and Atlantic come together is a notorious intersection, one that all of us who have driven in the area and walked in the area have had a concern about. We're going to do a whole host of things, and DOT is going to lead the charge. New pedestrian islands, new turning lanes and signals, better signal timing. That's going to take this exceedingly busy, complex intersection and make sense of it and make it safe. And when you talk about safety, this is an area where we particularly need to protect our children. We need them because this area has many schools around it, in addition to all the commercial activity, all the residential space. This is an intersection that needs work, and we're going to put the money in to fix it. And then back to the topic of our crossing guards. They make a world of difference. I've seen it with my own eyes many times. They protect our kids, and the presence of a crossing guard makes drivers slow down and makes kids safe. But for too long, there just wasn't enough coverage. There was coverage on paper, but there were too many gaps in it. So starting in September, we will have 100% coverage at all intersections where school crossing guards are assigned. We have the funding in this budget for 200 more crossing guards citywide and 100 more supervisors, meaning there will never be a time, even when someone's sick, even when someone isn't able to come to work, there'll never be a time we can't replace them immediately with a crossing guard and keep our kids safe. And this area, again, just to put a point on it, 6 schools within a few blocks of this immediate site we're at here. 6 schools. Reminder of why we need to make these changes. So we're doing everything in our power to save lives. We're going to keep sending a message to All New Yorkers who drive a car, you have a responsibility to our children, you have a responsibility to our seniors. Slow down, be careful. If you are reckless, there will be consequences. If you break the law, the NYPD will get you. It's as simple as that. That's the message we're sending. We're asking drivers to help us achieve Vision Zero and help us save lives. Finally, in Spanish, el año pasado tuvimos la menor cantidad de muertes en incidentes de tránsito en nuestra ciudad. Sin embargo, nuestra meta es que nadie muera en las calles de Nueva York. Por eso, el próximo año fiscal vamos a invertir casi 400 millones de dólares para que nuestras calles sean todavía más seguras para peatones, ciclistas y conductores. With that, I want to turn to one of our key partners in Vision Zero. He's really been both an enthusiastic believer and someone who's helped us to make these changes. The chairman of the Transportation Committee in the City Council, Councilman Idanis Rodriguez. Oh, you don't need that. Yeah, you're all right. Thank you.
Gracias, señor alcalde. Visión Cero es cambiar la cultura. Vision Zero is to change the culture on how drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians interact. And it is the 1.5 million New Yorkers who own cars that have the major responsibility to keep the life of pedestrians and cyclists safe. Mayor de Blasio has made clear with this budget that he intends to take Vision Zero to a new level. Last year, the council requested additional funding to increase the number of street redesigning projects and focus on trouble corridors. We are celebrating the good news today that with $370 million in additional capital funding over the next 5 years, more intersections will see the fully reconstructed upgrades they need to keep the number of deaths and injuries on our streets falling. Whereas the DOT committed to redesigning 50 intersections per year last year, this new funding should greatly increase those numbers in the coming years, allowing them to better prioritize the most dangerous intersections in the city. We've added funding for streets, markings, and lighting in this and future budgets. The DOT can quickly fix intersections where paint is fading or was never there. They can also increase lighting at trouble spots in response to data showing low visibility led to more crashes. For our cyclists, an increase of $500,000 for the next 5 years will ensure intersection with bike lanes will be more organized, leading to fewer crashes. Over the past years, I joined advocates in calling for the investments needed to truly commit to Vision Zero. Today, I'm pleased to say that Mayor de Blasio has delivered on this request. All that remains is to put shovels in the ground as soon as possible so we can start saving more lives. I look forward to discussing this investment more in depth with our great partner, Commissioner Trumber and Chief Chan, in the Vision Zero hearing that we have tomorrow. Para mí es un día muy importante de celebrar que el alcalde Bill de Blasio está poniendo más de 300 millones para rediseñar intersecciones peligrosas, para salvar la vida de los peatones y los ciclistas. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take questions first on this topic, and then we'll take questions on other topics. Question on Vision Zero. Marcia.
Mr. Mayor,
Louder.
I wonder if you could tell us what kinds of things you'll be issuing tickets for, and what role do you think increased enforcement will play in making these drivers more safe?
Absolutely, Marcia. Marcia, look, the NYPD has done an amazing job implementing Vision Zero. It's one of the reasons why we had the fewest traffic fatalities in 2016 that we've had in our history. Let's think about that for a moment. 2016 was the safest year in our history in terms of reducing these traffic fatalities. Why? In large measure because the NYPD got out there in force and gave those summonses for speeding and for failure to yield to pedestrians in intersections. Also, the checkpoints that the NYPD uses at key points around the year, key times around the year when we know, unfortunately, there's too much driving under the influence, that's made a huge difference. You're going to see more of that. You're going to see an expanded NYPD focus on stopping this reckless behavior that's taking lives. And I think it really does change behavior. The way I say it, Marcia, is if you know that you're going to go out there and speed and you're absolutely going to get a ticket, if you were convinced you're going to get a ticket, you're not going to speed. If you think you're not going to get away with something, you don't do it. And the NYPD's presence is going to teach people that there are real consequences to reckless behavior. And that's going to save lives. Yeah.
Do you have the number of how many fatalities so far in 2017?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's changed, but the most recent statistics, there had been a spike. There was also some concern that last year, although the total number of traffic fatalities was down, the number for pedestrians and cyclists had gone up. So some people were saying, you know, the people who are most vulnerable, the pedestrians, are really not safer. I wonder if you could address that and say if, you know, it's motivating any of these.
Sure. And I hope people can hear. I'm talking particularly Chief Chan and Commissioner Trottenberg. You can join in. Why don't you come up and I'll start. So that was a good multi-part question about this year to date, which I'll mention, and then what the issues related to pedestrians and that we're making enough progress there, et cetera. Here's what I'd say. First of all, the answer to the numerical question, we're about 3 weeks into the year, we're pretty much exactly the same as last year at this point. And again, that's not our goal. Our goal is to constantly do better. What I have at this point is there have been 15 fatalities year to date, which is literally the same as this point last year. Vision Zero is predicated upon the notion that we have to constantly do better. We understand with anything, whether it's fighting crime or reducing traffic fatalities, you're going to have moments where the statistics go up and down, but the overall pattern has to keep going down. That's the mission. I think in the last few months of last year, we saw some real progress. That's part of why last year, 2016, was even better than 2015. And there was a focus that Chief Chan will talk about on the evening rush hour and new measures taken there. We're going to expand upon that. In terms of pedestrians, I think it is really part and parcel of what we're talking about today. And the Commissioner can talk about it. The street redesigns, things like the traffic islands, change the experience and the reality for pedestrians, make them safer. More enforcement makes them safer too. But remember, a lot of the impact of Vision Zero hasn't been felt fully yet because it keeps building each year. So let me have Chief Chan speak and then Commissioner Trottenberg.
Do you want me to read anything that's prepared?
You don't need to. Let's just summarize. It'd be great.
Especially
to what you did towards the end of last year.
Again, what the mayor mentioned in reference to speeding enforcement. Prior to Vision Zero, we averaged about 77,000 speeding summonses in the 5 years prior to Vision Zero. We averaged approximately 133,000 speeding summonses in the last 3 years. Last year, in 2016, we issued 137,000 speeding summonses throughout the city. And that's certainly a record number that we've had for last year and since we've been doing speeding enforcement. In terms of failure to yield, right-of-way summons, we issued approximately 42,000 summonses last year, and that's larger than the numbers that we did prior to Vision Zero. In the category of DWI arrests, we arrested 8,400 people for DWI. We are going to continue on that vein to follow up on the enforcement. With the additional funding, we will be purchasing an additional 120 LiDAR equipment, lasers that will be used for speed enforcement. There are also 15 units that will go into highway district, highway cars that will be able to monitor speed also. The school crossing guards, again, watching over our children as they cross. 1.1 million students in the New York City system, and again, at elementary schools, and we're they're vulnerable crossing the street, and having somebody watch over them as they cross is going to be fantastic. And having the ability to cover all the posts there is phenomenal. It's something that's been a problem that we've had for many years. So I thank the mayor, and I think that in the year to come, you're going to see more enforcement, speeding summonses, failure to yield, cell phone and texting.
Yes.
And I will mention one other item, that left turn calming device. One of the things that we see at Traffic Stat when we meet with the precincts and the boroughs every week is that we see that turning vehicles is certainly one of the leading causes of injuries and fatalities to pedestrians who are crossing at intersections. But the left turn by far causes more injuries because the vehicles may be traveling higher than 5 miles an hour and therefore hitting the pedestrian and causing more injuries. So I tell my friends and the public, if you're driving, pay attention. When you are turning at the intersection, stop for a moment, because sometimes people may not be in the crosswalk exactly, and they don't expect to see the pedestrian. They may be wearing dark clothing or something of that nature. You want to give yourself more time by slowing down and paying attention. And if we slow down at the turns, left turn, right turns, we are going to reduce the number of injuries and fatalities dramatically. But we need the cooperation of all New Yorkers.
Can you just one more point, Chief, on the evening rush hour enforcement, how you changed the pattern the last few months of the year?
When we started to dust...
One second. Sorry. Let them get by.
Mr. Mayor, I certainly want to thank you and all the agencies for their guidance and their support on that program. We started the Dust to Darkness program on October the 27th, and just a time frame between October 27th through December the 31st, we reduced the number of fatalities by 29%, and a majority of that category were pedestrians. And that was certainly our target audience, to reduce all fatalities. But again, the Dust to Darkness, it worked effectively. We are continuing through January, February, March.
Excellent. Let me give you some height.
Thank you. And I can, Aaron, sort of flesh out a little bit more on the statistics. And of course, I always like to preface what I say by, these are not statistics. These are our fellow New Yorkers, our friends and families, and our neighbors. As the mayor mentioned, in the 3-year period of Vision Zero, we've seen traffic fatalities overall in the city go down by 23%. And that, I just want to highlight, is in very much contrast to the national trends, where in 2015, fatalities actually went up 7%, one of the highest jumps that the country had seen in decades. And last year, at least in the first 3 quarters, have gone up 8%. And even though, unfortunately, it's true, progress in every way isn't always going to be linear, and we saw pedestrian, even though overall fatalities went down, pedestrian fatalities did go up last year. Overall, in the 3 years, pedestrian fatalities in the cities have gone down 21%. And again, I want to thank the mayor. I think the extraordinary resources he's given us, and obviously we'll be using next year to put to good work, have helped drive the trends in the right direction.
Will you speak to the pedestrian reality and the work you're doing, how it specifically helps avoid pedestrian crash?
Right. I mean, again, the resources we're announcing today, I think a lot of you are familiar with that work we're going to do, particularly upgrading intersections. The mayor mentioned one here in Brooklyn that is so notorious, Flatbush and Atlantic, putting in pedestrian islands, shortening crosswalks, putting in more visible striping, changing lighting and signal timing, putting all those things together, again, with the NYPD's extraordinary enforcement efforts.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Well, it's no secret, this is probably one of the most complex intersections in New York City. You have a number of streets spilling in together, and when you have streets that are at tremendously skewed angles like you have here, that makes the crosswalks extra long. The longest crosswalk in this huge intersection is like 120 feet long. So and plus, as you all know, there's just an enormous amount of traffic, pedestrian traffic, with the subway, the stores, the Barclays Center, buses, trucks. I mean, this is just an extraordinary complex intersection. And we are going to be putting in pedestrian islands at that big intersection, which will obviously shorten crosswalks, calm the traffic, make it safer for pedestrians. And up where obviously the young man had the crash, and thank goodness he wasn't seriously injured, we've fixed the signal timing and put in a blinking yellow turn signal to tell motorists slow down and be alert when you take that turn.
Amen. Yeah.
Describe his injuries, his road to recovery, and perhaps Chief Chan can talk about what happened to the driver and the circumstances of the crash.
So Arnie told you could just talk a little more about when you got hit, what happened to you physically, what happened to recover from it.
The car just hit my side. I was pretty bruised up, but I didn't face really major injuries. I was pretty lucky considering what happened to people at my school, but yeah.
You go to the hospital?
Yeah, I went to the hospital. Yeah, I was kind of in shock. It hurt a lot, but I was fine.
But was it something, I'm just going to add one for them with it. Did you just assume when you walked across that intersection each day that you would be totally safe? Was it a shock to you to think a car could come out of nowhere and hit you?
Yeah, I didn't really think a car could come out and hit me, because I knew my friends had been hit by cars before and it was fatal, but I didn't think it could happen to me. It was kind of a shock. I don't know. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was really close friends with Joey. I think about her a lot.
Was the driver who hit you caught?
No, he wasn't caught. No.
Yeah, the chief's going to talk to you about, thanks, Jordan, about some of the things we've been changing on that front.
When his accident occurred, we didn't have the benefit of 19-190, the administrative code, where our officers can either make an arrest or issue a summons to an individual. At that particular time, barring leaving the scene or an individual who routinely injures and hits a pedestrian or a bicyclist, would be a civil matter. But now the officers can make an arrest when they, specifically a person is walking in a crosswalk, has the right of way, and they cause an injury, while NYPD officers can make an arrest or issue a summons that goes to environmental ECB court. So again, through the legislation and through the mayor's office, their guidance and their support, we have legislation that increased the penalty for leaving the scene and also for people who injure our pedestrians and bicyclists.
What violation did he commit in your case?
My understanding is that was possibly leaving the scene at that location, and I don't have all the particulars on the driver and the information on that at this time.
Okay, other questions? Anything Vision Zero related? Looking around. Vision Zero, yep. Louder. We definitely need more speed cameras, and they have had a very positive impact in terms of reducing speeding and protecting children and protecting seniors in particular. We have them now functioning around schools. We could do more around our schools if we got authorization from Albany. So we're going to be working with an extraordinary group of people, the families who have lost loved ones and have led the charge for Vision Zero and for these changes. They have a very strong presence in Albany, and they're going to be going up with us this legislative session to try and win the right for the city of New York to put more speed cameras in, particularly around our schools. Louder.
Chief Chan said that he was going to be getting over 100 more radar guns out here. They deployed interceptions all around the city.
Yeah, more radar guns means more ability to stop speeding. So we want to give the NYPD all the resources it needs. Now remember, as I said yesterday, this is the first month, January 2017, the first month we're feeling the full impact of 2,000 more officers on patrol. That's going to help give us more capacity to go after speeding and reckless driving. But the radar guns are giving the NYPD more capacity technologically to catch speeders as well. You want to come over and speak? Where will they be?
They will be deployed throughout the city. Currently, we have individual precincts have LiDAR units, and those will be distributed throughout the city so that in case one of them breaks, they're defective, have to be repaired, we don't have to shut down our work in terms of speeding summons. And so therefore, our officers will be concentrating, and I would expect a dramatic increase in speed summonses. So if you're speeding, beware, because the NYPD will be out there. Yeah, at least
we'll get the facts, but it's a 50% increase in radar guns. Okay, yes.
Any action for those pedestrians that cross the street against the light?
One more time.
Any action against those pedestrians that cross the street against the light? Or
look, again, so this is the bigger question of how we go at this problem. First and foremost, this is about the drivers. This is where the vast majority of problems come. is drivers not following the law. So let's be clear. I am someone who used to drive myself around, rode a bike, walked on the street, so I can look from all the perspectives. But the number one problem is reckless drivers. They're the ones with 2 tons of steel at their disposal, and if they're speeding, if they're going through a light, if they're not failing to yield, that's where the vast majority of our problems come from. Now, if a bicyclist violates the law in a reckless, dangerous fashion, we're going after them too. And NYPD has done enforcement, and we'll do more enforcement of that. Pedestrians, there are pedestrians who should be smarter about what they do, particularly when it comes to devices. This is one of my real pet peeves for drivers and pedestrians alike. Too many people are not paying attention, and they're focused on their cell phone or their smartphone, and they're missing what's happening around them. And we're always going to get public education out there, and there have been times when PD has even done enforcement on pedestrians. We always reserve that right. That's a precinct-by-precinct decision. But the vast majority of this problem is about reckless driving. Any other Vision Zero questions? Vision Zero going once, going twice. New questions. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, and I was hoping Councilmember Rodriguez could also answer on this. The councilmember put out a statement yesterday praising a lot of your investments like at Vision Zero, but also said he wants to see the reduced MetroCard fares and public money into city bike expansion put in the budget. Can you address those two concerns and maybe the councilmember can speak to them as well?
I will address them, and we will, sometimes we can have a live debate. Sometimes we respectfully agree to disagree. Look, I've said that the proposal around reduced fares for lower-income New Yorkers is a good, meaningful proposal. We just can't afford it. It's just not something we can get into this city budget. And also, I think it's a state responsibility. I think, the state can't have it both ways on the MTA. They control the MTA. They have to pay for the MTA. So if people believe this is the kind of thing we should do, the state should pick up that responsibility. On the question of city bike, we have no plans for public financing a city bike. It's a discussion we're always willing to have with the folks who run city bike about how we can work with them in terms of their future and allow it to be strong and hopefully continue to expand. But we have never committed public funds, and we do not have plans to. Now you can do the counterpoint.
Well, first of all, on the first one, this is important for the city. I also understand, the mayor had to be very responsible when he put this budget for the 2018. We will continue this conversation knowing that where the administration stands on that particular issue. With the city bike, the mayor through his spokesperson, they already have shared that they've been in conversation with Motivated, the company who runs City Bike. I hope that the conversation will continue. I believe that we can look at possibility at some point to bring the public dollars, but also this is something that the private sector, they had to do more in order to bring City Bike through the whole 5 boroughs. When the City Bike was created, it was mainly created thinking about the financial center. Now there's a lot of transportation there that we have in the South Bronx, that we have in Brooklyn, that we have in Queens, that they can be benefiting too. And it's happy to know that the administration be in conversation with City Bike in whatever way we take to expand City Bike. That's the most important goal that we have together.
Sure. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, is this part of your agenda when you go Monday? Will you talk at the budget hearing in Albany about the reduced MetroCard, or is that not on your agenda right now?
It's something I'll certainly address if I'm asked, but I would say our agenda in Albany is about the state budget itself and really focusing on that. If we see, and obviously Commissioner Trottenberg's a member of the MTA board, and if we see an opportunity to push the state towards that, we're certainly going to take it. But I think the central focus in Albany on Monday is the core of the state budget and the items I brought up in the presentation yesterday. first of all, the trials are public, as you know, which is different from a lot of other disciplinary situations. And second, there's a fundamental question of following the state law. I'm sure what the commissioner said conforms to the state law. So I haven't seen his statement. We'll look at his statement. I'll be glad to comment further after I see it. It's a preliminary budget, and as we've said, we're coming out with an expanded vision of how to address homelessness in the coming weeks. We'll talk about additional spending if that is needed, and then that will be reflected in the executive budget. Preliminary budget is a step along the way. The real decisions will come in, the final decisions will come in for the executive budget. Again, I wouldn't, it's a perfectly fair question, but I'm trying to signal to you, don't overrate it, because a lot more is about to come out and you'll see the whole picture. Yes? I'm having a sound problem with you.
What kind of things do you think you need to add to your homeless initiative to help bring the number of homeless down?
There's two things I want to say about where we are now, and then I'll tell you we're going to say a lot more soon. Two things we see. One, Homestat, which is the #1 strategy for addressing street homelessness. We're encouraged, it's been just under a year, but we're encouraged by the number of people coming off the street and staying off the street. That number is about 700 right now. Now, this is early, but if that holds, then that means we've really struck on something here that could make a huge difference. In terms of shelter population, it has stabilized in recent months. That's a good sign. There's a lot more to do. This is a long, long battle. As I said, I'm not going to foreshadow, but in the coming weeks, we'll be talking about some new strategies that we think are going to add substantially to the approach. Yeah. Coming to you. Hold on. I'm sorry. The grand jury? No, absolutely.
Just wondering what your understanding of is in the case of my husband, a 5-year-old boy. What's your understanding of why he wasn't moved from her home? And also, do you have any concerns about the agency's handling of the case as far as you know it?
It's too early to know at this point. There's a full investigation underway. I will say from what I've heard so far, which is only preliminary and partial, one, it's not clear what was the cause of death, but from what we've heard so far from the medical examiner, it may be a health situation, not anything related to abuse or neglect. We need to know more, though, to confirm that. Two, my understanding, I think some of the reporting didn't portray the timeline necessarily as well as it could have. My understanding is a lot of the ACS focus on that family was many years ago. There was some recent activity, but I'm not seeing at this point enough to understand if there was a lost opportunity here. My view of these things is if we are looking at a family, we need to look for any sign that could tell us of what more we could do. But sometimes those signs are not evident. That's what we need to know here. Were there evident signs that were missed, or were they simply not evident? That's what the investigation will uncover. Mara?
Mr. Mayor, President Trump is expected to sign 2 executive orders today and take 3 actions. One executive order is expected to take action possibly against sanctuary cities. A second is expected to expedite a move toward building this wall with Mexico. And then he's also expected to take a 3rd action to possibly limit or completely end the refugee program in Syria and other similar countries. Do you have any reaction to this? And also, does that news make you expedite plans here? Are you talked or reached out to the president?
It's a very fair question, but I'm going to tell you, we want to see these executive orders. There's been a lot of rumors in the course of the last week about what they would be and what they wouldn't be. So I want to wait to see them later today. I assure you there will be immediate comment at that time. So there's going to be a lot more to say later on today. we're not going to speculate on the wording in executive order. When we see it, we'll look at it, we'll respond immediately, and I'm sure there'll be a lot we have to follow up on legally and otherwise. But we're very confident. I'm very confident we're doing the right thing here in New York City. We have 500,000 New Yorkers who happen to be undocumented immigrants. And they are part of the fabric of the city, and a lot of their family members are documented. We've said time and again, if you start tearing families apart, if you start leaving children here, taking their parents away, taking breadwinners of families away, this is going to be very destructive to the city, and it's also immoral. And on top of that, it's going to undermine law enforcement's ability to protect the city. And Commissioner O'Neill's made that very clear, because it will hurt the trust between police and community. So we are doing the right thing. We have a city that is working economically, that is more harmonious, and that is safer. It's working. We're not going to deviate from that. When we see what President Trump is putting forward, we'll then tell you how we're going to address it. Yeah?
Do you have a message to New Yorkers who are undocumented today, who are seeing this news?
Again, we have not seen the news yet to comment on, but the message to New Yorkers who are worried about the policies of the Trump administration, the folks who are fearful that they may not be able to stay with their family members here, is that we're going to do all in our power to protect them. We're going to do all that we can with the powers in New York City to protect them and to get them support.
And to follow up on Willie's question, have you been notified that you're a target of a grand jury?
No.
To a grand jury, no. So I want to say,
to a grand jury, no formal proceedings. The Manhattan DA's office asked for an interview, and we did an interview. Say again? We'll get you the facts. It was a few weeks back. I'm sorry, when you say we.
When you say we, they asked we.
Me and my lawyers. Yeah.
What did they ask
I'm not going to characterize it. It was fine. No, that's good. Again, guys, not going into any details. Lawyers can fill in for you. Just told you the factual answer to your question. Thanks, everyone.